Hey guys, it's Captain Harris, and welcome back to the channel. We're doing a little bit of a different discussion today. We wanted to just chat some albums, like all of our favorites, and in the metal genre. So we've decided to all pick our top 5 favorite cover-to-cover, all-killer, no-filler albums. And
So this is from first song to last song. You could just listen to the whole album. And
Yeah.
be
No
like,
skips.
Good.
yeah, so
Good.
just anything that we love listening to the entire album.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And again, we mostly do Maiden, but this is I don't even know if Maiden's going to show up here because I haven't talked to the others about what they picked.
If you're new to the channel, we mostly talk about Iron Maiden because I just have a lot to say. They're my favorite band, and that's where most of my ideas come from. But obviously, we all love
Other music.
Lots of different music, different genres, stuff like that. So we want to give that a little bit of love today. So I have limited myself to a single Iron Maiden album.
Okay. And then so this is strictly metal / hard rock bands. Okay.
And to that point, I totally zagged. There is no Maiden on my list.
Oh.
And
Same.
I really tried to reflect what I'm feeling.
All right.
Well then,
Which of you two would like to go first?
why don't I go first?
Yes.
So my first, and a lot of these are in here, we don't need these. Put these over here. Okay, so my first cover-to-cover album is Painkiller, because it's freaking Painkiller, and there is no filler on this album.
Judas Priest?
Judas Priest,
Excellent.
1990,
Wow.
before Rob Halford left, because they were like, we can't beat this, and he just left. So, I mean, favorite songs, of course, Painkiller, All Guns Blazing. For me, Between the Hammer and the Anvil, it's one of my favorites. So good. One Shot at Glory. I mean, all of these belong in a live set. This album obviously doesn't get played much on the radio because it's a bit heavier than what you would normally hear, but I think it's their best work. You know, there's an argument for is it Defenders of the Faith or even earlier albums, but I think this is their quintessential best metal album. So yeah, Painkiller.
I think one of my favorite moments of seeing Judas Priest live was seeing them open with One Shot at Glory, and what was that, 2021? They had an amazing stage set, and seeing them have that big lighting rig of their cross come up, so cool.
Yep.
So, my first album to talk about, I have my notes. I've written lots of notes to talk about.
So many notes.
And I revisited a lot of these albums this week to, refresh my memory. And I listened to this one yesterday. This is Lamb of God's Ashes of the Wake. And I was laughing because yesterday I told James after I took my headphones off that album is so good it makes me want to cry.
Which is a funny thing to say about such a heavy album.
It's just so, like, every song is just, like, beating the shit out of you. And I love it.
And we had to have a discussion. Like, one of the first things we said was, well, we don't want to pick the same albums. And I said, are you taking Ashes of the Wake? And she was like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man, okay.
I'm like, if you want it, I'm still going to take it, too. And we're just both going to have that album.
So
because
I let her have it.
There's no way I'm not talking about this album. And it's funny because I have, like, a bit of a history with Lamb of God in the way that I think that everybody has a couple of bands in their life where they started out not liking them. You with Maiden, right?
That was actually me with Maiden.
And eventually something just clicks. And mine was, James was actually playing this album quite a lot while he was driving. We would be driving around doing our errands, going to Orlando. And I was just like, I don't know why you like that album. It's just, it's not that great to me. And he had it on all the time, so I was getting a little tired of it.
Like, it's just not good.
And then, well, I don't think I said that. I was like, it's just, I don't know why you like it so much. And then Slayer had their 2018 farewell tour where they were doing Behemoth and Testament, Anthrax, Lamb of God, and that was my first time seeing Lamb of God live. And they were so good that I felt like that meme from It's Always Sunny where it's like zooming in on Frank and he's like, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, that was the last time I felt compelled to mosh.
And then I went back and listened to this album, and I'm like, I was so stupid. Why did I ever dislike this album?
When she first, like, gave me the impression that she was liking it, I was like, you get it, yes!
So I've also put down, like, my top 3 songs in no particular order from all these albums. And my favorites are Remorses for the Dead, The Faded Line, and Hourglass. And a little fun fact that James didn't know, and I actually just kind of found out recently too, is that on this song, Ashes of the Wake, Alex Skolnick does the first solo and Chris Poland does the second.
Two good guitarists.
Yeah.
I like them.
Are you familiar with this album, or do you care for Lamb of God?
So, the first time, I want to say it's got to be the first time I saw Lamb of God. I don't think they were on the 2005 Ozfest. They might have been. Don't quote me. I don't think they were. But the first time I saw Lamb of God that I can distinctly remember was a very formidable evening in my life. It was Gigantor. Mm-hmm. Gigantor.
Yeah.
2006, which was Megadeth, Lamb of God, Opeth, Arch Enemy, Into Eternity, and Sanctuary. That basically informed everything I needed to know. All I know about Lamb of God is that I wasn't the biggest fan, but I was like, I appreciate it. What I do remember about that night was their stage setup was just like big cannon lights behind them. Like they were almost playing in pure silhouette. Mm-hmm. And I just remember being out of the pit. I went to the merch booth because I was like, oh, I'm going to go closer for Megadeth after they're done. And I just remember seeing just like strobe lights and just trash cans being thrown in the Hard Rock. And going back onto the floor, I've never felt such humidity in my life. Like for those of you maybe in Central Florida, but you guys would know this. When you first leave the Orlando International Airport, you make that first step out of the airport, it hits you like a wall of moist. That's what the Hard Rock felt like after Lamb of God was done. So I appreciate the power.
Yeah.
Of the
way they can move a crowd is impressive.
The way they can move a floor.
Yeah.
No, I just love everything. Like the album artwork is so just like phenomenal. It falls out. Phenomenal album artwork.
You made a jacket about
I
it.
did. This album's so good that I made a tribute vest to it when I was supposed to see them before the pandemic, and then that show got canceled. And I finally got to see them. In fact, 2024 they did. You were there, but you left after Mastodon. They did the 20th anniversary tour for this album, and it was genuinely one of the best shows I've ever seen.
They played every song cover to cover.
Cover to cover.
Yeah.
They could do that every single year for the foreseeable future. I'd go every single time. It's that good. And unfortunately, the themes are, relevant again in today's world, but that's what these albums are made for.
Glasses. Time.
What
Anyways.
I've become.
Right. So my first album, cover to cover, going back to that very formidable evening. Actually, backing up 1 year prior, that Ozfest 2005 was my first real metal show that I went to. And one of the bands that was there was Arch Enemy, and they were promoting an album at the time called Doomsday Machine. I liked it. I thought it was okay. The follow-up album to that is called Rise of the Tyrant. And that album is just from, as we are saying for this video, cover to cover, fantastic. The production is one of the things I really appreciate about it, is that each song ends, but then it trails and starts within each track. It's it's tough now because I tried doing it on Spotify. It doesn't quite have the same. When you have the disc in, it's track 1 is 2.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't describe how much I love Arch Enemy. They were such a formidable band for me. Melodic death metal in general is just massive. Arch Enemy, Rise of the Tyrant.
I haven't heard it.
How do you feel about, have you heard the new singer of Arch Enemy?
Yes, and I have a very controversial opinion. It's not controversial, I don't think. Now that I've read other people, now that now it's the third singer, because there was the original singer, then there was Angela, then there was the other singer that came in. Now that she's gone, everyone's now publicly saying they didn't really like her, and I never really liked her either. But the new singer they do have for this next album, I really like that new single. I think it's really good. I was listening in the car. I remember joking with Kim saying, "Oh my God, Arch Enemy's back! I can listen to them again." So I'm just happy to have them back. Fantastic. If you haven't heard Rise of the Tyrant.
Yeah, they're not a band that I've ever really given a chance to, and I haven't heard this new single, so maybe I give it a shot. It'd be nice.
If you like to be a little heavy. It's a little heavy.
Back to me, okay. So I'm going with an album that I marked as my favorite album of all time for a period of time, and that is Crack the Sky by Mastodon. It came out in 2009. This is another album that we've seen performed live cover to cover.
Twice.
Back in 2009 when they did the 10-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm. You were there.
Yes, Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
With Brent and everything, which is now, kind of a soft spot because that's over now. But this album, I think, is their masterwork. I think it's what they were building towards before they had some fun with the Hunter. Mm-hmm. And, the cover art is phenomenal. Favorite songs on it, it's hard to really pick because they're all fantastic. Of course, you get Oblivion, Divinations, Ghost of Carolia, The Last Baron, The Tsar. Some long songs on there, some drawn out stuff, but it's equally deep as it is musically impressive.
Yeah.
And seeing it live, it came across that way too. So that is always going to be in my top 3 albums of all time.
Yeah, and I know, like you said, we saw the 10th anniversary tour?
10th anniversary.
And another one of those shows, like with the Ashes of the Wake show, that was just one of those that's just going to stick with me for a very long time, and it's the Ashes of Leviathan tour, where you got to see Leviathan in full, and it did not hit nearly as good as seeing Crack the Sky in full.
Yeah.
It was cool, but, like, something about every single song on that album
is just phenomenal.
Yeah, deserve to be played live.
That was their musical peak, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, back to me. So, let me get my notes. All right, we're going to go with Slayer's Rain and Blood next.
Oh, yeah.
So, this was one of the albums I always kept in my car. I had to go to work and school and stuff like that in Orlando, which was like, with traffic sometimes an hour drive, and it would be bad traffic. Like, if you're from Florida, you know our traffic kind of sucks. And what better album than Slayer's Rain and Blood to get me pumped and angry and ready to take on
the Turnpike
and I-4 than Rain and Blood. So, I wrote down it's my angry in Orlando traffic album, and the entire album, again, like you said about the Arch Enemy album, this just basically sounds like one long song. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it starts and finishes with 2 of really the most iconic songs in
metal.
That genre, which is Angel of Death and Raining Blood.
Correct.
Like, they always play those songs every show.
They are classics.
I don't know. And my three top songs I put on here were obviously Angel of Death, Raining Blood, and Postmortem. Mm-hmm. And what was the one that you brought up to me the other day that you
Altar
really
of
liked?
Sacrifice.
Yes. So.
And Rick Rubin produced this one, and I remember reading about the process of. He explained that he wanted to feel like the bass drums were just punching you in the face and just pummeling you all the way through. And it is one of, I think it's the best kind of like, whatever we think of as thrash metal, I think it's the best representation of thrash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, it's just another album like Lamb of God's Ashes of the Wake that beats the hell out of you when you're listening to it. It's one of my cardio albums. Like, I need fast music when I'm doing cardio, or else I feel like I'm gonna die. So Slayer saves me with that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I've listened to this album for a very long time, very many times.
And again, with Slayer, we were both like not into Slayer for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't really know when it clicked.
It just clicked.
It just clicked
one day, and I'm glad it did because I really like them.
Yep.
Anyways.
Well, my next album, it was deeper in my list, but I'm gonna bring it from down here to up here because it is also Crack the Sky.
Oh, good.
Right.
So Crack the Sky, I was just talking to a couple friends about Mastodon the other day, and the first time I really saw them was at the 2008 Mayhem Fest, which used to be a touring festival similar to Ozfest here in the United States. And they were the first band on the main stage, and a good friend of mine, Frankie, was a big Mastodon fan, and he bought the shirt that they had for sale. The album had not come out yet. Crack the Sky was not out yet. But he bought a shirt, and it was just the face of Rasputin, but in the beard was like the little beard tendrils spelled out Mastodon. Yep. And he was like, I don't even know what this means. And then the artwork that they had displayed was very Crack the Sky-esque, but they didn't play anything on Crack the Sky. I was like, oh, this band was pretty awesome, pretty great. Then Crack the Sky comes out. I buy the album, and putting it into my Honda Accord, my 2005 Honda Accord, and just like blasting through that thing. I remember, I don't know if you guys did the same thing, like when you would open albums, booklets had a distinct smell to them.
Yes.
That one had the most interesting smell because it did not smell like any other booklet. This might just be a me thing, but like...
Well, why don't we test it?
Yeah, let me see if it has the same smell still. May I? Because I would know
It
it.
had much of a smell.
It's lost its stink.
What
We must find an original. Because it had a very distinct odor, and I was like... And that, to me, also, like, as we all, like... You make connections in your brain because you want things to be real. That made it, like, oh, this album is special because it smells different.
Smells special.
It even smells special. They were this album is, like, my first true introduction to prog.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Last Baron, The Tsar, like, all those songs. I'm like, God dang. I saw them on the Death Clock tour. So it was Death Clock and Mastodon, and they played all of Crack the Sky on that tour. And then, as you said, we went to, what was that, Coheed and Cambria, and also...
Yeah.
And I know people do really appreciate Leviathan, and I understand the magnitude of Leviathan, but to James's point, this is the peak of their powers.
Yeah.
Like, this is the apex mountain of Mastodon, is Crack the Sky.
And, I mean, Blood Mountain before it, too, was heading in this direction.
Oh, yeah.
After Leviathan, and it's like they finally hit the top of the staircase and made it. And then after that, it's kind of been like, let's have some fun.
Have some fun. And I almost got to the point with Mastodon where, like, every other album I really like. Hunter is good. One's More Around the Sun, I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah, I love it. But it's fun.
But it's
like,
fun.
But Crack the Sky is a serious piece of art.
Lyrically fantastic, musically fantastic. Crack the Sky.
And Brent Hines is just every song that he sings on is the best stuff.
It's just every bit.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from Crack the Sky, back to me. So this is my hard rock album that I'm gonna throw in there. And while it may seem a little bit generic, it is Back in Black by AC/DC, of course, the 1980 release with Brian Johnson for the first time. This album, everybody knows. I mean, I believe it's the #1 selling rock album of all time. I think Thriller is the only thing that's beat it just in terms of sales. There isn't a song on here that wasn't a hit or isn't played on the radio. I mean, and that's 10 songs, all 10 I've heard on the radio. Personal favorites are, of course, Hell's Bells, Have a Drink on Me, Shake a Leg, Let Me Put My Love Into You. That's probably the least known song, but they're just it's so bluesy and their production is just so perfect, and that's why it's still played to this day. I mean, you hear it in movies and car commercials and everything. And it's kind of ruined its mystique with how much it's overplayed. But honestly, and I already knew I was going to put an AC/DC record on my list, and I was like, do I do Highway to Hell? Do I do Powerage? And I just had to come back and be like, I think this is their peak of their powers again, where they just absolutely nailed it with this album. Of course, and the sales speak for themselves. Yeah. So, Back in Black, everybody knows it.
Does this one have the booklet in it that has, like... Because I remember these, like, releases that they did.
This booklet?
Yes. The release that they did. Yes. So, this edition, because I remember I had the High Voltage one, I had the Highway to Hell one. It had, like, all the different liner notes, like, explaining, like, oh, it was the loudest concert. You could hear it down the road.
I collected all of these from AC/DC that are like this. In fact, this one is very special to me because this one is the only one that my dad gave to me when I was learning guitar.
Yeah.
So, this specific CD case, this is one he handed me, and it's beat up now, but first song I ever learned was playing Hell's Bells on guitar with my dad to this album.
Hey, how much do you think it was to see AC/DC on this tour?
In 1980?
Yeah.
$12.
$9.
$8.50. Look at Angus. Just look at him. What a man.
You know, this album...
He's a man.
This was my dad's favorite band, too, so this album is one that, like, I had in my upbringing played all the time, so all those songs are extraordinarily familiar, you know, with my upbringing and music, and yeah.
Had to have it. So, back to me. This was another one of my driving albums when I had to, you know, do my hour-long drives. And this was more of like when the roads were chill and I was just trying to get home in good time. There's a mood for every drive.
We got Sabaton's Carolus Rex. Mm-hmm. So, my notes.
Sweden.
Oh, I don't think I wrote notes for this one. But I did write my top 3.
You don't need notes for this one.
No, I really don't. So, my introduction to Sabaton was seeing them open for Iced Earth in 2014. I'd never heard of them. I listened to a few songs before I went just to familiarize myself with them. And James, I was like sitting up on the side of House of Blues. You know, they have like the bar stools and stuff. And James like...
He was just there for Iced Earth, and I was like, no, we have to see Sabaton.
Well, I was going to see them. I was going to see them from the bar stools and just, you know, chill out and stay away from all the smelly people in the pit. And
like me.
You said, no, we're going down to the floor. So I said, all right, that's fine. I'm cool with that. And they did way better. I liked Iced Earth. They did way better than Iced Earth. They blew them off the stage.
What year was this?
2014.
Was I there?
Perhaps.
Was this when he gave like the little kid the pair of sunglasses?
He does that every show.
This was the Heroes tour that we saw them.
Also a great album. They just blew me away. And obviously I started collecting all the CDs. And this one, staple in my car. I always put it in, never skipped a song on it. My favorites are Poltova, 1648, and the Caroline's Prayer. Do you have any favorites from? Because I know you really like this album
Lion
too.
from the North.
Yeah.
Lion from the North is my track.
It was kind of difficult to pick the top three because they're so good. And I feel kind of bad because this is such a good album, and the tour that they came to do for this album flopped. Like, they were playing Brass Mug down in Tampa, and
which is like a couple hundred people max.
And the few people I know who did go to this tour said there was maybe like 15 to 20 people at their shows. And that's why they opened for bands for, like, years. Like, you know, pushing 8 or 9 years. They were just relentlessly opening for bands here. And then they finally did a headlining tour. They played the Orpheum, the old Orpheum in Tampa, packed the place out. And now, like, they did book an arena in Tampa. The show got canceled, but...
They're still playing the Hard Rock.
They're playing a Hard Rock now, which is great.
We're seeing them this year. We haven't seen them in a while, so we're happy about that.
To your point, the first time I saw Sabaton was we used to have a venue here in Orlando called the Firestone. And I saw them opening for a band called Accept. And it was 2011, spring of 11.
Pre-Carolus Rex.
Pre-Carolus Rex, because I remember going up to Sabaton later and saying, hey, I'm really excited. I'm seeing you guys again in the summer. And they said, oh, where? And I said, I'm seeing you guys open for Maiden. And they said, oh, fun. That Brass Mug show, I'll have you know, I drove the 2 hours it takes for me to get to the Brass Mug. I had my then girlfriend at the time. We had an argument, and we left before they started. And we drove back.
And can you attest to how many people were there?
Me. Like, I kid you not, like, the room was so small, 50, maybe, and, like, I'm telling, like, they were about to go on, and we just had a big blow-up argument, and we're just like, all right, let's just go home.
That is unfortunate.
It was unfortunate, because I would have been one of 50 people to see them right before they, like, really blew up.
Yeah. But, yeah, I love Sabaton. This is probably, I don't know if it's my favorite album, but I love every single song on it.
Yeah.
So, cover to cover, Sabaton.
I love the first albums of them.
Oh, yeah.
Or a lot. Dude. When the priest killed the maiden in the metal church.
I'm all over the place with my albums. I've got thrash metal, I've got whatever you call Lamb of God. I guess you could call Sabaton power metal if you really want.
I guess you would.
Close enough, yeah.
Close enough. Continuing my metal journey, we've gone from Arch Enemy, my first real taste of extreme, up to my first taste of prog. Now I'm really diving into prog. Buddy mine, same buddy. Everyone has the metal friend. Shout out to Frankie. He showed me Opeth. And it was the album that just came out was Watershed. I had seen Opeth on that very fateful night of Gigantor, and they sucked so hard. 30 minutes, 3 songs, and I was bored to tears because they were in between Arch Enemy and Lamb of God. So my expectation is to be going 1,000 miles an hour, and I'm in a car that's going from first to 7th gear over and over again. And I was like, prog is for losers. Then I grew up. I grew some hair on my chin, and I was like, maybe I should listen to prog. And that's where I come to Ghost Reveries. First album for them on Roadrunner Records. Controversial at the time because Roadrunner Records had such bands as Slipknot and Nickelback. But
Megadeth was on there for a while.
Megadeth was around the same time as Opeth. Makes you think that's why they probably went on Gigantor. Anyway, Ghost Reveries, from start to finish, just absolute smash of a prog record. It has everything you want in terms of the death metal side, of the prog side. Harlequin Forest is an absolute monster of an album. Baying of the Hounds on that record. Again, if you're thinking of getting into prog, but you do like a little bit of that heavier side, Ghost Reveries, 2005, Opeth. It's just monstrosity.
And you just saw them. How was that? Like,
yes,
compared to older shows that you've seen?
Well, so it's the first time I've seen them in a long time where they brought back death metal vocals.
Yeah.
For a good portion of their career here, past after 2008's Watershed, all the way through to this past album, they had no harsh vocals. And then I guess Mr. Ackerfeld was like, we're going back. So it was just absolutely astounding. A friend of mine was like, hey, do you mind if I go with you? I was like, sure. And she's like, so how long was the show? I was like, oh, it's about 9 songs. She's like, 9 songs? I was like, yeah, it's about 2 hours. But it was, first of all, it was Philadelphia in February. So it was, the real feel on my thermostat said -7 degrees, which that's Fahrenheit. So in Celsius, you can do the math. But yeah, just, I'm glad to see Opeth still continuing and growing and seeing like a sold out show. Like, man, Opeth, Ghost Reveries.
Good choice. So back to me. This is probably the least known album
what
that we're going to talk about.
That?
So this is Galacticon. This is the second album that Galacticon did, which is called Become the Storm. This came out in 2017. There was one album before this that I can't remember the name of.
It's just...
What is this band?
It's just Galacticon. It's Brendan Small's side band.
So Brendan Small, the guy that does Death Clock.
Okay.
During the whole period where he couldn't touch Death Clock because of licensing issues and things like that with Adult Swim, he came out with a new band called Galacticon, and it's obviously a very similar sound. And Gene Hoglan is the drummer on this, so you know, you've got the metal chops right there.
Well, the first album, I believe, came out while they were still... He was still doing Death Clock, and they had clean vocals. Yes. This one, he does death metal, and I believe that like the lyrics were supposed to tell the ending story of Death Clock, because he couldn't do the end, but he finally got
without using the characters or the names or anything. But this, I feel like, was I feel like it's his best work personally, and I wouldn't skip any song on this. I listened to this for about 3 years nonstop, and I would just cover to cover it every other day. Songs like Icarus 666, The Agenda, I love. Rebuilding a Planet, Could This Be the End? This is a no skip album, and if you like heavy music, I mean, the closest thing to I guess it's like melodic death metal, just like Death Clock is.
Very sad that that disc has disc rot and no longer works. So
really,
yeah, you want to see?
Oh no!
Look at that.
Oh dear!
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's the only time I've ever had that happen. I pulled it out to listen to one day, and it wasn't playing. I looked at it, and I'm like, what has happened to it?
I will say, like I was going to mention, because obviously I didn't bring my collection here. There's I think another deeper connection you can have with when you have the physical copy.
Yeah.
You know, like we were saying with Crack the Sky, and even like the AC/DC ones, like I just love holding it and like listening to it and
looking through the
booklet and just like really just immersing yourself in, you know, because this is also part of the album. It's part of the story of the art.
Well, they put effort into the way it looks and into the inner sleeve work and everything. So.
And it feels like a bit of a shame because they really don't.
It's that digipack smell.
This band doesn't tour. These songs don't get played. You know, he's busy with Death Clock again. So I don't know if this band title will ever come back again. I don't know if there'll ever be a third album with Galacticon, but I sure hope there will one day. But I just love it.
All right, well, I'm going to go into my obvious choice.
Boo.
Which is Iron Maiden's Powerslave.
Oh, that old thing.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, I mean, again, like I said, we mostly talk about Iron Maiden on this channel, and I do genuinely think this has got to be their most well-loved album. And there's a lot of all-killer, no-filler albums for Maiden for me. I could say Brave New World, I could say Somewhere in Time, but I just think that this is the quintessential all-killer Maiden album. And my top 3 songs from it are obviously Ace is High, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, and I also picked Back in the Village. It was really, really hard to pick that third song.
Because of the chickens?
Yes, because of the chickens. But I mean, the tour was iconic. The album artwork is iconic. Like if you say, if you say Iron Maiden to somebody, you're like, do you know Iron Maiden? They're either gonna think of like the Trooper artwork or they're gonna think of this. In my opinion, it's just.
And that era too was where they really pushed themselves live. Where okay, yeah, Number of the Beast is their best-selling album, and that's really what blew them up. Peace of Mind again, really big. But this is the one where they recorded a show,
and they really went for it with the stage set.
They went insane with the stage and the details, and they played. It's funny when you look back and see how many small clubs they played with the Powerslave tour, because we're just used to seeing Long Beach Arena with thousands of people, but this went all over the place.
Lakeland Civic Center,
their longest tour ever, the most shows. And they burned themselves out on that era, but was it worth it? Absolutely. This is so memorable.
And I mean, that tour set the standard for how their stages and everything would look going forward too. Like they really put the effort into that.
Yes.
So.
Well, I think it speaks even, looking 20 years ahead when they do the Somewhere Back in Time, which was supposed to reflect 3 albums, but it was clearly a Powerslave show.
Yeah. They play what? Heaven Can Wait and Wasted Years.
Yes.
And then Cyborg Eddie's like the picture boy.
And then there's Moonchild, Clairvoyant, and then they're like, but we're going to do Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Powerslave, Rhyming the Mariner. It's going to be Everything is Egyptian.
I mean,
Fear the Dark.
I mean, Run for Your Lives, they're playing a lot from this too. Like, what's it, 4 songs?
Run for Your Lives?
Yeah,
yes.
Throughout their entire career, they still only played those 4 songs.
Yeah.
So those 4 in the middle.
At least we got Bruce doing Flash of the Blade, so that was cool.
Man, we went absolutely crazy that night.
Anyways, Powerslave.
Gotta have it.
Yes. In game. Okay, I will now be moving to my... I have one album that is technically hard rock, but I don't really consider it hard rock. It's still metal to me. This one is a hard rock, and this is a true out of left field. It is the 2012 reunion / back from hiatus record for The Darkness called Hotcakes.
Okay.
So the band had put out 2 albums to much acclaim in the hard rock community, those of us who enjoy Gibson Les Pauls and such. And then there were some personal difficulties with Justin Hawkins, the main fellow. But they came back, 2012, Hotcakes. And this is almost like, if this album had come out in the 70s or 80s, it might be considered like, oh, of course, Hotcakes is one of the greatest hard rock albums of all time. Everything just like it flows, the lyrics are fun, the guitar work is fantastic, everything about it, the production is just huge, way too big for this. Like, isn't this the band that has like the one corny song about believing in love? There's She's Just a Girl, Eddie. They cover, I want to say it's a Radiohead song as well on the record. Just the album cover itself, I don't have it, but you can imagine it here. She'll put a photo of it. It's a giant mound of pancakes being drizzled with maple syrup with bikini-clad women like swimming in syrup. Does that not sound like the 1970s to you?
It does.
It sounds pretty sweet to me.
That's what I remember from the 70s.
That's what I remember from the 70s. But yes, it's pure rock and roll. Keep me hanging on. Nothing gonna stop us now. As I write here, fantastic.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Hotcakes.
I thought I saw The Darkness when I was a kid.
But then you turn the light on?
No. No. My sister's band was playing at like a festival in England.
Oh.
And a band played before them, and they played Do You Believe in a Thing Called Love as a cover. And because I was like 9 years old, I was like, that's the band. That's the band that's big right now. So I went like years thinking, oh yeah, I've seen them. And then I found out, like, of course you didn't see them.
He was there with like a little like big lolly. Just
And
like,
a pinwheel hat.
oh, it's the darkness, isn't it there, love?
Okay, this is number 5 now.
Yeah.
So this is the one I have a record for.
Shocking.
You know it's coming. The one and only Rust in Peace. Okay, this album has to be in my top 3 of all timers.
It's gotta be a Mount Rushmore, to use an American term, of metal albums.
Yeah.
Is it
I was
not?
gonna say
Is it not?
of the thrash bands, like of all the bands that came out of thrash,
Big Four.
I feel like this is the gem of all the albums. I mean, of course, you could talk about Master of Puppets and Rain and Blood and Among the Living and all those, but this, for me, is the best thrash album ever. And it transcends thrash, really. There's a lot about this album that is like, oh, this is beyond thrash. I mean, the introduction of Marty Friedman on this album and again, that's coming off of Chris Poland doing a bunch of stuff, and then Jeff Young was amazing too. But Marty was, again, another level of beast on the instrument, and he brought so much flavor. And I mean, the solos on Tornado of Souls and Holy Wars and Hangar 18, they're just so iconic and incredible and such a challenge to learn. And for any guitar player out there, like, if you're going to try and learn a Marty solo, it's going to be tough, and you're going to spend some time on that just to get all the little intricacies and the little bends and everything. Favorite songs on it, I mean, honestly, they're all my
all
favorite.
of them?
Just all of them in a row. For me, Lucretia is an underrated gem.
Lucretia is so good.
Lucretia is my favorite solo on the album. Favorite solo from Megadeth.
More than Tornado.
It's just so, I don't know, it's out there, and it's classy, and it's just not what you would expect. I've never heard another metal guitarist do that.
I'm hearing Lucretia in my head right now.
Yes, it is incredible.
I know, I was like just tuning him out as the song was playing.
Yeah. Five Magics, of course. Take No Prisoners. Poison Was the Cure. Even Dawn Patrol. Just, it's unbelievable.
Just look at him. The look for that time was so good too.
Also, I just love the classic way albums even looked at this time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, how do I say it? Clean.
Yeah, it's
like,
just simple.
Here
it's
it
just,
is.
Here we are.
Very intricate front art. I mean, the front arc is just like,
absolutely
Lord.
Incredible art. Vic Rattlehead. I mean, this is his best look for me, most classic, and it's also Mustaine's classic look from this. He still wears the white button up and the jeans, and they've revisited this album in the past.
Did you ever get to see them play it live yet?
No, I didn't. Not the whole album.
See, I wanted this album, but he said because I took Ashes of the Wake, he got to have that. I'm like, all right, I can accept that.
I drove my senior year of high school. I drove up to Atlanta to see. It was them, Testament, Exodus, in Atlanta, and I was like, I had to see it because it's the rest of peace.
I've learned every note off this album front to back, and it's always hard, always impressive, and it's I'll always come back to it. Always hard.
Always impressive.
And always impressive.
Always front to back.
Very girthy. Yeah, that's my fifth.
All right, so my fifth, I don't have a physical copy of, unfortunately. I should, but it was one of those bands I discovered when I was on YouTube and Napster, and that is DragonForce's 2004 release, Sonic Firestorm.
That is a top 5 for you.
I love that album. I genuinely do, and I used to be embarrassed about liking DragonForce because kids in middle school would make fun of me for whatever reason.
Was it just because it was on Guitar Hero?
I think it was, and it's like, I don't know why, but I was given shit for it, and I would tell nobody that I like DragonForce, but in secret, I would listen to my DragonForce.
So is that the album with Through the Fire and the Flames?
No,
it's not.
That's Inhuman Rampage. That's the next album.
We can give all the credit we want to DragonForce on their own, but it was Guitar Hero that brought them to everybody. Because it was like, if you could play Through the Fire and the Flames, then, that was the song that everybody talked about.
Yeah. So I wrote that this was a quintessential album for me in the 2000s. It's fast, cheesy, and back then DragonForce and this album used to be my art making music. I used to do a lot of digital art, so I would put my headphones on and I would just draw my fan art of whatever TV show I was watching at the time in the 2000s and go on Microsoft Paint, and I would draw a bunch of crap. And I said, now it's one of my favorite albums to do cardio to. It's so fast. It's got such a good pace that, it's just awesome. And it has my favorite DragonForce song on it, which is Soldier of the Wastelands. Great, right? And I said, this is peak ZP era DragonForce. Every song's banging. I really haven't kept up with the band since he left.
Yeah, since ZP left,
I've listened to a few songs from a few albums, but I feel like they've gone too power metal for my taste.
I wouldn't even say they've gone too power metal. They've gone too, how do I say this, game bro-y?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean, the vocals too, I feel like ZP was very unique for power metal. He didn't have the typical, Halloween-style vocals, where I think Mark...
So
nothing against Mark Hudson, but, he is very, typical power metal with his vocals. And I feel like ZP just brought his own specific flavor to the band. And I'll pop it up here, but I have a video of me at around 11 years old playing my first acoustic guitar very badly. It was like Yankee Doodle or something, and then saying that I wish to take Herman Lee's place. So roll the tape.
I want to take Herman Lee's place.
And then I will show you guys that after. I think he's seen it.
How adorable.
You never have, but yeah. So that shows how long I've been ripping DragonForce. And my top 3 from that album is My Spirit Will Go On, Soldiers of the Wasteland, and Dawn Over a New World.
I was also an early adopter of DragonForce. So Sonic Firestorm, because I knew briefly some deep dive history. I like that we all have like lore. So Sonic Firestorm was they wanted that to be the hit for the States. It got them to a point, but it didn't quite take them over that next threshold. Roadrunner Records band, speaking of Roadrunner Records, they get on Ozfest for Inhuman Rampage. They also get on Guitar Hero around the exact same time, and it's all from there. My favorite album of theirs, not to be that guy, but my first album was Inhuman, then Sonic Firestorm, then I went back even further to Valley of the Damned. Valley of the Damned is my favorite.
Yeah.
But then the album that comes out after Inhuman Rampage, which is Ultra Beatdown, oh, mamacita. Let me tell you. I think there's a song called Ripped on that song, on that album. It rips.
Yeah.
That DragonForce era, like, I know it was kind of corny and people were like, oh, like this extreme power metal nonsense because like every song was just...
It was corny as shit, but it was great.
It was great.
They had their own sound, though.
Oh, they definitely had their own sound. But yeah, if you can... Listening to Sonic Firestorm, I think is probably that chocolate and peanut butter. But I do love the sort of toned down for DragonForce of Valley of the Damned.
Yeah. So speaking of Ultra Beatdown, you remember when Heroes of Our Time came out as the first song? I remember it was the day I was going to an FFA convention. Another fun fact, I was in the Future Farmers of America, for those of you who are unfamiliar.
Shout out for Big Ag.
We were going to like the big convention at the end of the year, and that song came out like around that time, and I had downloaded it onto my shitty little MP3 player, and the entire like 2-hour ride out to where it was just like that song on repeat. It was so good.
Was it a SanDisk? Remember
Yes. It was a Sansa Fuse. Oh! You know what that is? Oh, yeah, with a little spinny wheel, and I sat on it so the screen was broken, couldn't see what I was listening to.
Yeah, for all of us who couldn't afford iPods or iPod minis or iPod Nanos or Shuffles.
Heavily middle class.
We were a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
So, a little different for me. So that was your 5th?
Yep.
All right, my 5th. Ozzy Osbourne, No More Tears.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yes, I understand Blizzard. I understand Diary. I understand Ultimate Sin and Bark at the Moon. No Rest for the Wicked, with that being Zach's first album. But then No More Tears. I mean, Mr. Tinker Train, No More Tears, Road to Nowhere. All those are great. But there's 2 gems, and one of them I think has been sort of saved because I think Lemmy did a cover with it later, Hellraiser.
Yeah.
And then Sin, or S-I-N, or even the third name that's in that. Those 2, fantastic. Going off of the corniness, because obviously I like Korn. Zombie Stomp, also will play it. Mm-hmm. No More Tears, the entire album. I'm so happy I was able to see him on what would turn out to be basically his last tour.
Yeah.
The No More Tours 2. I went down to see him in Fort Lauderdale. Fantastic. I mean, just Zach on this album is just ripping, and again, it's just there's not this sort of like level of just like every song, because like just when you think you're getting to like another, like, oh, I guess that's like the singles, oh, here's another one, oh, here's another one, and just it keeps going and going. And just Ozzy, really my first introduction to metal, which I'm sure with everyone like a Sabbath or Ozzy, but man, what a record.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So that was all 5.
That was all 5. I just had a really quick honorable mention.
Yeah.
And I think you do as well.
Yeah.
Showing me my toys.
And this is a band called Skeleton Witch. And this is Serpents Unleashed.
That is a fantastic album.
And all the songs on here are like 2 to 3 minutes max. And they're kind of like a blackened thrash band with these old school vibes, but the production is incredible. They're tuned to standard tuning, which is very rare, with harsh vocals. It's very interesting for the time. And this specific album, this was the first one I ever heard from them, and they're not really doing anything anymore. They kind of have, I'm not sure if they've officially split up or
I don't think they have. I just think
They had that singer issue for a while.
Yeah, but they got a new guy. He was really good. I just think they're all busy with their lives right now, to be honest. They're a small band.
But every song on here, Serpents Unleashed, Beneath Dead Leaves, From a Cloudless Sky, the riffs are so good. The bass tone is amazing. And it's all just in your face. And it does everything that you would want from like classic metal and modern metal at the same time. But it's all based on the riffs and the drive of the band. And all the way through, it's not going to take you very long to get through it. It's kind of like a Rain in Blood.
Yeah.
Give it a listen. It's great.
Great album artwork, too.
Yeah, fantastic.
So I had two, and I changed my mind on one while we were talking about Mastodon. So number one is Black Sabbath's Mob Rules. And I was really stuck between this and Heaven and Hell, and then I decided not to put them on my main list at all. But damn, guys, you know how good Mob Rules is. If you've heard Mob Rules, you know how good it is. And then I was going to do a different album, but I don't really feel like talking about John Schaefer today. So, it's technically an EP, but Mastodon's Cold Dark Place.
Oh, yeah.
It's, what's it, 3 songs?
Four songs.
4 songs, and they're all just some of the best Mastodon songs I've ever heard.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess I'll do an honorable mention. If I could just... 2001's Children of Bodom, Follow the Reaper. Coming out of the 90s of Something Wild, which is the debut in 97, 99 being Hatebreeder. This is a Blue album. It is Follow the Reaper. Blue album Superiority or Supremacy.
Yeah.
That album. Follow the Reaper, Hate Me, Every Time I Die. I probably should just put this on my list, actually, because now I'm thinking, like, man, like Northern Comfort, Kissing the Shadows.
Who gets kicked off? Hotcakes?
Ooh. No. Crack the Sky, because he covers it for me.
I got
That's true.
So he covers it for me. But again, if you are new to this channel and you're wondering like, but why can I go for extreme metal? I don't know why you sound like that, but you might. Arch Enemy is good, yes, but if you really want to put some pep in your step, Children of Bodom, Follow the Reaper.
Excellent.
All right.
That was a lot of bands, a lot of albums. And I'm sure everybody's going to have an opinion about all of those.
Yes.
All of those
Those
picks.
are just our favorites. That doesn't mean they're the best. Like,
I prefer Sacrament.
if I was to choose the most iconic ones for everybody, I'd probably choose something different. But this is what I tend to listen to cover to cover.
And we all seem to have stories about why. It's very important, like how these albums found you, at what time in your life, and who maybe showed you them, and it's a part of your history with music. So of course, please comment below all the albums that you love, cover to cover, and would just hit play
give us
on
your
it.
story.
Yeah, and give us your story on how that album came to you.
Any closing remarks?
Art is subjective.
Yes.
But as long as you're supporting the bands, and if you can, as we said earlier, if there's if it's an album especially that you really like, with all the reprints and reissues, try and find a physical copy of it just to own it and just feel like, wow, like I have this piece of art in my house.
Yeah. That's why I'm disappointed I don't own Sonic Firestorm, but just never did.
And yet, I couldn't find my copy. She texted me. She's like, do you have it? And I was like, it's somewhere in this house. Who knows?
Well, anyways, that's all we've got for you guys today. Thank you for watching through to the end. Thank you to our Patreon members for their support, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That'll do, won't it?